Hello, strategic thinkers. Let me ask you this. What if the key to unlocking your full potential isn't about one giant leap, but rather a series of small, smart steps repeated every single day? If you improved just by 1% each day, where would that lead you? Well, mathematically, it would be 37 times better in 1 year. But beyond the math, it's the mindset that counts. Because when you show up consistently, even in small ways, you build something powerful: momentum. In today's episode, we explore the timeless Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, which means continuous improvement. We will look at how this philosophy can transform the way you approach personal growth, resilience, habits, and long-term success. If you've been following our Path to Greatness series on Kobe Bryant, you might notice some striking parallels between Kaizen and Mamba Mentality. And that's no accident. Both philosophies are rooted in intentional practice, mental discipline, and relentless refinement. So if you're on a mission to grow, whether in your career, your health, your mindset, or your leadership, this episode will equip you with a simple yet powerful mental model to move forward. Welcome back to The Strategic Thinker. To our loyal listeners, your continued support inspires everything we do. And if you're new here, thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes designed to help you elevate your thinking, amplify your growth, and play the long game. I'm Alan, your host, and each episode we dive into frameworks and real-world examples to help you grow with clarity, strategy, and heart. Let's start here today. In a world that glorifies massive breakthroughs and dramatic transformations, it's easy to forget the truth. Sustainable growth is rarely explosive. It's subtle, strategic, and built over time. And that's what makes Kaizen so special. Kaizen is a Japanese word that literally means change for better. It became widely known after World War II when Japanese companies like Toyota adopted it to rebuild and optimize production. But Kaizen is not just an industrial tool. It's a philosophy of life. And at the heart of this philosophy is a simple question. What's one small thing I can do today to improve from yesterday? Kaizen teaches us that no improvement is too small to matter, and that excellence isn't a one-time act. It's a mindset, a process, a commitment to keep evolving. Strategic thinkers like you understand this. Momentum compounds. When you make tiny improvements every single day, they don't just add up, they multiply. Like water wearing down rock, it's slow, but over time, it reshapes everything. Think about your own life. What's an area you've made tiny, consistent changes? What's something that used to be hard for you and now feels second nature? That's the power of Kaizen. It builds confidence, it builds resilience, it moves you forward, even when the progress is invisible at first. And here's something I remind myself. Greatness is not made in a single moment. It's made in thousands of tiny, smart, intentional moments stacked together. So the question isn't, can I be great today? It's, can I be just a little better than I was yesterday? Adopting Kaizen as a personal growth strategy isn't about overhauling your entire life overnight. It's about integrating powerful and simple habits that evolve who you are, one decision at a time. Let's explore 3 key principles today to adopt Kaizen in your life. Start small, reflect often, and build consistency. 1. Start small. The first principle of Kaizen is to make change feel accessible. If a goal feels overwhelming, break it down. Think micro goals, not grand outcomes. Instead of setting out to become a morning person, start by waking up 10 minutes earlier for a week. Want to read more? Aim for 5 pages a night. Looking to write a book? Start by writing 1 sentence per day. The goal isn't volume, it's movement. Small wins activate momentum, and momentum is one of the most underrated forces in personal transformation. What makes this effective isn't just psychology, it's identity. When you take consistent, small steps, you start to shift how you see yourself. You stop being someone who wants to get fit and become someone who moves daily. You stop aspiring and start becoming. This reframes progress. You are no longer waiting for the finish line to feel successful. Every small step becomes a success. And over time, those steps build something far greater than ambition. They build capability and belief. 2. Reflect often. Improvement doesn't happen just through action. It happens through reflection. One of the most strategic habits you can develop is pausing at the end of each day to reflect. Ask yourself, what went well today? What challenged me? What's one thing I could try differently tomorrow? This doesn't need to be a full journal entry. Sometimes just a few nights of honest observation can offer the insight you need to make tomorrow better than today. When you reflect regularly, you begin to spot patterns. You identify habits that energize you and routines that drain you. You catch yourself repeating the same mistakes, or better yet, you catch yourself before you do. You turn unconscious behaviors into conscious improvements. Strategic thinking isn't just about planning ahead. It's about learning as you go. That's what reflection enables. When paired with small, consistent action, it creates a powerful feedback loop. You act, you observe, you adjust. And in doing so, you build better habits, not by force, but by design. 3. Build consistency. The third principle, and arguably the hardest, is consistency. Not intensity, not effort in short bursts, but sustained commitment even when the results aren't immediate. Kaizen doesn't reward dramatic effort. It rewards repeated effort. If you want to build something lasting, whether that's a habit, a mindset, a reputation, you need to show up consistently. The person who exercises for 20 minutes a day every day will outperform the ones who trains for 2 hours once a week. Why? Because consistency compounds. Each repetition reinforces identity. Each day builds trust in yourself. So how do you stay consistent? Anchor new habits to existing routines. For example, reflect each night after brushing your teeth. Track progress. A simple check mark on a calendar can build surprising momentum. Remove friction. If writing is a habit you want to build, leave your notebook open. If you want to walk in the morning, set your shoes by the door the night before. And when you miss a day, don't punish yourself. Just return to the process. One of the most powerful lessons Kaizen teaches us is that falling off isn't failure. It's just part of the rhythm of growth. Because over time, Consistency builds confidence. It signals that you can rely on yourself to do the work even when it's hard. And even when the motivation is low. To recap, start small, reflect often, build consistency. These 3 principles may sound simple, and that's the way it's meant to be. But when applied with intention and discipline, they unlock one of the most sustainable frameworks for long-term personal growth. And this is the essence of playing the long game. To truly understand the power of Kaizen, let's step into a story. One that doesn't just illustrate the philosophy, but helped define it for the modern world. This story begins in post-World War II Japan. The country is rebuilding, economically and industrially. Amidst this backdrop, a small auto manufacturer named Toyota is trying to survive. They don't have the scale of the American auto giants. They don't have deep financial reserves or cutting-edge technology. What they do have is clarity. If they are going to compete globally, they will need a different approach, one that turns limitations into strengths. And so, a philosophy begins to emerge. Rather than relying on large overhauls or top-down directives, Toyota decides to focus on something simple, but quite radical at that time: the power of small, consistent improvements by everyone and not by the executives. This is where Kaizen takes root. Each employee, regardless of rank or role, is encouraged to contribute ideas to make their daily work just a little better. Whether it's how tools are stored, how parts are assembled, or how communication flows across shifts, every suggestion is considered, and every improvement, no matter how minor, is implemented if it adds value. For example, one worker might suggest repositioning a tray of bolts closer to their reach, saving a few seconds per task. Another might notice that certain labels are unclear and propose a better format. On their own, these seem insignificant, but scaled across a factory floor and repeated thousands of times every day, they create exponential gains in speed, accuracy, and efficiency. Importantly, this is not a one-time initiative. It's embedded in the culture. At Toyota, improvement is everyone's responsibility. It's not a special project. It's just a way of life. But it's not just about productivity. Kaizen at Toyota impacts quality. Employees on the assembly lines are empowered to stop the entire production process if they detect a problem. That's right, anyone can pull the cord, halt the workflow, and initiate a root cause investigation. This level of trust does 2 things. It prevents defects from spreading downstream, and it sends a clear message that improvement comes before speed. Mistakes aren't just ignored or punished. They are used as learning moments to make the system stronger over time. So over time, these incremental improvements result in one of the most admired production systems in history. Toyota vehicles become known for their reliability, their consistency, and their ability to last. It's no accident. It's Kaizen in action. So you might ask, what does this have to do with your life? Imagine your daily routine as a personal production system. You may not be assembling cars, but you are producing outcomes every day on health, creativity, communication, or anything else you set out to achieve. So, where are the friction points in your system? Maybe you waste 15 minutes each morning deciding on what to wear. Maybe your focus drops after lunch and you lose an hour to distraction. Maybe your workouts are inconsistent because your gear isn't where it needs to be. Or your important conversations feel rushed because they are squeezed between meetings. These aren't flaws in your character. These are signals in your system. Clues that point to where you can improve. And like Toyota, you don't need a full overhaul. You just need small, smart changes. A few examples of what these could look like. Preparing your clothes and bag the night before could save you time and mental energy each morning. Shifting one unhealthy snack for a better alternative could create momentum for long-term dietary change. Replacing one distracted scroll on your phone with a 10-minute walk could boost focus and mood. Leaving a notepad on your desk for capturing ideas could prevent them from slipping away. These actions might feel too small to matter, but they do. The effects compound, not just practically, but psychologically as well. You start proving to yourself that you are the kind of person who notices, who adapts, who improves. The Toyota model reminds us that excellence is a process and not an event. It's about what you improve every single day. There is another important lesson here. Toyota's breakthroughs didn't happen by accident. They happened because of a system that encouraged reflection, learning, and collaboration. This same mindset can be applied to personal growth. Just like Toyota's employees are encouraged to ask, "What can I do to make this better?" You can ask yourself the same thing every day. What's one area in my life that feels clunky or inefficient? What's one change I could make to improve it, even ever so slightly? How can I make that change easier to repeat tomorrow? Aim for progress and not for perfection. So often we delay changes because it feels like we need to revamp everything. Kaizen frees us from that thinking. It says, start where you are, improve what you can today. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's strategic. And over time, it creates results that are impossible to ignore. At Toyota, thousands of tiny improvements turned a struggling company into an industry leader over time. In your life, they can turn scattered energy into clear momentum and good intentions into lasting transformation. Let's pause here with a reflection. What's one small improvement you can make today that would reduce friction, improve quality, or make tomorrow just a little easier? Write it down, try it out, and tomorrow reflect on how it felt. That's Kaizen in motion. While Kaizen is simple in concept and sounds intuitive, it's not always easy in practice. And for strategic thinkers like you, people committed to growth, excellence, and purpose, it can be tempting to turn even a philosophy of progress into another high-pressure pursuit. So let's take a moment and step back and explore a few common pitfalls to avoid when practicing Kaizen. 1. Expecting immediate big results. Kaizen is designed to bypass the myth of overnight transformation. It's about starting small, staying consistent, and yet one of the biggest temptations is to expect fast, dramatic outcomes. We live in a world that rewards visible and immediate success. such as likes on social media, shares, and other matrices. But Kaizen often works in silence. The daily choice to improve just one thing, to be just 1% better. The mistake. Measuring your progress too early, too narrowly, or against someone else's results. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be stronger the next day. The same goes for strategic thinking, health, leadership, communication, or any area in your life. Progress is happening, even when you can't see it yet. The solution: trust the compound effect. Design the input, focus on the process. The results will come. And remind yourself, consistency is an achievement in itself. Pitfall number 2. Ignoring small wins. Another common pitfall is failing to notice or celebrate your own progress. Because Kaizen deals in small steps, it's also easy to discount them. You might think, well, I only read 5 pages today, or I only walked 10 minutes, or I only sent one thank you note. But each of those actions represents alignment to your values. Each one builds the muscle of self-leadership. When you ignore small wins, you weaken the emotional reward that sustains long-term behavioral change. Eventually, motivation fades, the habit might drop. The solution: track your small wins. Write them down. Tell someone. Acknowledge that what you did today matters, even if it felt minor in the moment. Small wins like this create momentum. Again, and that momentum is the foundation of belief. Potential pitfall number 3. Becoming rigid with the system. Ironically, one of the biggest obstacles to applying Kaizen is to try to force it. Kaizen isn't about perfection, it's about learning. And learning requires flexibility, yet sometimes, in our eagerness to improve, we become overly rigid, treating the system as fixed instead of fluid. Maybe you've set a daily micro goal, but life throws you a curveball. You miss a day or two, or the step you've chosen stops making sense. What then? Too often, we abandon the process entirely. Instead of adjusting it, we forget. Improvement doesn't mean never failing. Improvement just means never stopping. The solution: hold the intention tightly. Kaizen thrives on adaptability. If something's not working, change the approach, not the goal. Strategic thinkers know when to persist and when to pivot. Potential pitfall number 4. Using Kaizen as a shortcut to avoid bigger work. This one's subtle but important. You might see this in your life. I've seen this in my life sometimes. Sometimes we latch onto Kaizen because it feels safer than taking a bigger leap. Instead of launching the new business, we tinker with branding colors. Instead of having the hard conversation, we read another article on communication. Instead of committing to gym, we research workout plans. Don't get me wrong, preparation matters. It really does. But Kaizen isn't about avoiding bold action. It's about building the foundation for that bold action through steady, aligned behavior. The solution: use Kaizen as a launchpad, not as a loophole. Ask yourself and be honest. Is this small step moving me towards my goal, or helping me stay in motion without making progress? This will help you avoid this potential pitfall. Robert Collier said this: success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. This quote beautifully captures the essence of Kaizen. Success, true, meaningful, sustainable success, is created through repetition, through rhythm, through the quiet discipline of showing up. It is unlikely to be built in a single breakthrough. Think of the path to greatness story that we've just covered with Kobe Bryant. The Mamba Mentality has lots of similarities, and I can almost say that the Mamba Mentality embraces Kaizen. We often imagine success as a dramatic turning point, a single decision, a bold move. And sometimes it is. But more often than not, success is forged in the days when no one's watching, when it would be easier to coast, to delay, or just to tell yourself, it won't matter if I skip today. But come on, it does matter. Because the person who chooses to take action anyway, despite fatigue, self-doubt, or lack of recognition, is the person who builds character, credibility, and ultimately confidence. And those small efforts, they do something else too. They shape your identity. When you stretch for 5 minutes every day, you become someone who prioritizes mobility. When you take notes after meetings, you become someone who values reflection. When you offer one kind comment each morning, you become someone who uplifts others. On the surface, these look like minor habits, but these are building blocks for the person you are becoming. So let me offer a simple challenge as we pause here. What's one small, meaningful effort you are willing to repeat day in and day out? Not for applause, not for perfection, but for progress. Write it down, pin it somewhere you'll see, and start today. Not because you're behind, but because you're ready to build momentum. And that's where greatness begins. As we wrap up today's episode, let's come back to the quiet power of Kaizen. Continuous improvement isn't flashy. It doesn't demand attention. It simply asks you to keep showing up, to keep refining, to keep believing that forward is forward, even when progress feels invisible. It may appear so on the surface, but greatness isn't made in a single moment. It's built over time, through thousands of thoughtful, strategic decisions and actions. It comes from doing the work when no one's watching. It shows up consistently in Path to Greatness studies. And the best part, you don't need to wait for that perfect moment. You only need to start with what you have from where you are right now. Before we sign off, I want to share something special. In the spirit of Kaizen and in anticipation of the 1-year anniversary of the Strategic Thinker, I've been working on a new experience, a small private space for those who are serious about moving forward on their own path to greatness. It's not for everyone, and it's not launching just yet. But if you've been listening closely, growing with us, thinking deeply about your next chapter, this might just be for you. More details will be released soon. By being here, by being open-minded to the topics and principles, you are already on your own path to greatness. And lastly, I want to pause here and express a deep personal thank you. To those of you who've been with us since episode 1, and to those who've just joined this week. You are the reason this podcast exists. Every download, every message, every moment you've chosen to spend with us, I don't take lightly. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for your belief in better. And thank you for your commitment to growth. Not just for yourself, but for those around you. You inspire me to keep improving. You are the proof that Kaizen isn't just theory. It's alive in how you show up. And that's exactly the kind of leadership the world needs more of. So from me to you, thank you truly. If today's episode resonated, please consider rating or sharing the show with one other person who's also walking their own path to greatness. Let's continue to build this circle of thinkers, doers, and leaders together. The next episode will be the season finale, as we wrap it up with the final part of Path to Greatness featuring Kobe Bryant. I can't wait to share it with you. And as always, I love to hear from you. What's one small improvement you are making this week? You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, or even YouTube. You hold the power to shape your destiny. Strategic thinking is your compass. We will build an amazing future, one thoughtful decision at a time. Until next time, keep getting better every day.